In this video, can we get the Yugo sauna running? To be honest, this is not a teaser. I have no idea. We're gonna just see how things go. The first thing to ascertain is whether it'll actually turn. So let's do that. I shall start by removing the air filter assembly, like so. Oh, thank you, assistant. Oh, I'm not used to having an assistant. And I'm going to take the spark plugs out. Spark plugs are all only finger tight because I've just been oiling the cylinders. The last time with duck oil, nice thin oil, just to make sure there's some sort of lubrication film in there. There you go, it's a beautiful view of the back of me, but the plugs are all out. They are all disgusting, but try and focus. Yeah, not the best condition, the plugs, but hopefully it'll be good enough. We can try and clean them up a bit. I've got the front wheel jacked up, and I've got a wheel brace down here. So in theory, let's bring you in to make sure you can actually see what's going on. With the car in 5th gear, we can see whether the engine will turn. So keep an eye on the belt. Apply some. Ooh, that would definitely look like an engine going round to me. I'm just using the breaker bar just for a bit more leverage, really. But will it go all the way around? Oh, that timing belt is rusty. That's exciting. But I can see the tensioners going round, so that's good. And the timing belt on this car doesn't operate the water pump. That is done by a separate belt. This could be the first time in 25 years that this engine has rotated in any form. Wow. Seems to be getting better. Yeah, I'm not going to be trusting that timing belt for long. Well, that seems to go all the way around. That's good. Exciting times. Isn't that exciting?
Absolutely thrilling, darling.
Yeah, there we go. Lovely. Well, that's greatly encouraging. Where do we want to go next?
Fiery death?
Fiery death is some way off yet, I feel. I'm expecting the fuel system will be utterly knackered, but I'm hoping if we squirt a bit of petrol into the carburetor, we'll get something like firing. Ignition, we don't know if the ignition works. That might be a good idea to try. The wiring on this car is an absolute mess. Most of the fuses and relays have been removed. So I'm not sure if it's even got what it actually needs. Also can't use the ignition barrel because the ignition barrel is seized. So I need to hot wire it. So it's all exciting times, really. We've got a coil pack here. So one of these, you kind of assume the red one really, should be alive. But I don't really want to start cutting into these wires. So I think I might try and hot wire it at the ignition barrel end. Which is something I'm probably not going to go into too much detail of. Because, oh, that's exciting. That's a spring for the headlamp. No headlamp bulbs, someone's even had the bulbs out of it. And what on earth is that? What was that wired to? And what was that wired to? Yeah, it's going to be fun, this car, on the wiring front, because there is much mayhem. These wires here, somewhat, just tilt you slightly so you can see them. These separate wires, linked to the battery, go all the way through to the fuse box. But I wonder if that was someone trying to test some electrical component in the scrapyard. Some bits have been taken off it. It obviously was in there for a fair old while. Or maybe they were trying to get the ignition to start that way. I don't think that is the way to start the ignition. So yeah, I'm going to give that some thought. I might even get the dizzy cap off, see what state the points are in. If it is points, I don't even know. Could be breakerless. Let's have a look at what's going on in this here distributor. Take the cap off and we'll put the cap there. so we know that's the way round. I think that's contactless. So if we can pull the rotor arm off. That looks very, very lightly used. Looks like the advance works on it, it's turning. But I think that's breakerless, so I think I'm going to leave that alone. That's good, that means we haven't got points to worry about. Put the rotor arm back on, and put the cap back on how we found it. So hopefully that means our chance of a spark is pretty good. Right, we'll just have to wait for now. We've got the engine turning, but without a wiring diagram, I just haven't got a clue what's going on and what's going where and what I need to try and connect up to make this thing fire up. So we can't even test for spark at the moment. It's just that little bit too complicated. We've got fuel solenoid shut off, so we've got a coil with lots of wires going to it rather than just one, as I'd kind of hope. So for now, we will have to wait. Someone is sending me a manual for this car with a wiring diagram. He owns a Sana. He also owns a Sau Penza. So he likes his rare oddball stuff as well. But for now, we'll have to rest this and come back at another point. Well, we're quite a few days on now, and I've just been having a play. I still can't get any live on the ignition. I've got a battery here from the Fox sat on a workbench, and I've got a little hot wire to see if we can coax any life out of the starter motor. If I connect to that terminal there and this one, oh ho! That is very exciting. It's not sounding like a proper engine because I haven't got the spark plugs in. So let's do a quick compression test. If we wang the plugs in and do that again, we can see if it sounds like an engine trying to fire into life. The ignition is a problem. I'm not really sure what to do about that. I don't know if I can try and bodge it around with a different coil. There's a multi-plug here and I just don't know what's what. We're not seeing any power anywhere. I'm not getting power at the ignition switch even. I've replaced a load of fuses, all the missing fuses in the fuse box, but I don't think any of those are related to what's going on. I think sadly we are losing connectivity before we get to the ignition switch, and as everything to do with this car goes through the ignition switch, that is a problem. There we go, and the last plug screwed in. So while I feel like I'm getting closer here, I'm still miles away as well. I mean, I've got no hazard lights, I've got no dash lights, I've got nothing going on, but nonetheless, let's see what she sounds like now. So get that connector on the solenoid, and then this one. Yeah, I don't think I've got enough battery power there, but you can hear it definitely. So that's encouraging. We have actually got some form of compression going on. So we've got some progress. Incidentally, notice I've tied my little toggles into a little bow. Right, our next challenge is to try and work out how to get spark. I've got another issue as well. There are various shut-off devices, electronic on the throttle. I've discovered by reading a manual today, an actual manual, that there is a shut-off that shuts the fuel off when you're coasting. So, or not coasting, when you're off the throttle. It actually shuts the fuel off to try and ape what fuel injection cars do. And that just adds yet another layer of complexity, because I think the power is going to be completely shut off unless I can get power to the carb. I think there's also an anti-dieseling solenoid as well, so an awful lot going on. It might be I just take the carb off and squirt some starter fluid down into the intake manifold just to see if we can get any life, but first of all I've got to try and work out how to get spark. So here we go. This is a manual sent by my friend Nigel for the Yugo Sana. Interestingly, it covers the 1.6 engine. I didn't even know we had the 1.6 engine. And what I was hoping it would contain was a wiring diagram, but it doesn't seem to have one, which is infuriating, to say the least. It's got all this sort of stuff. It's got the electronic ignition, which I think this has got. I think this has got the breakerless ignition. But yeah, all I want is a wiring diagram. I just want to know what wire does what. And it sadly hasn't got anything useful. It's got wiring inside the alternator. I don't care about that. But yeah, lots of stuff. Puller needed to get the brake drums off on the back. That's bad news. But nonetheless, this is going to be a very useful document. So thanks to Nigel for sending me that. I'm not quite sure what to do next. I don't know why we're getting this breakdown, why power isn't getting from here, because all power goes through the starter motor, and why it isn't reaching the ignition switch. There's a wire on the back here, and I know that wire has power this end, but nonetheless, by the time it gets to the ignition switch, all power is gone. And that is a problem. It's another day, and I've got the whole family here to play exciting times. So what I've decided to do is, because I can't get power to come through here, so I'm shortening the route, and I think this one is the main ignition feed, because if I connect to it, we get the ignition lights and a wiper, which obviously isn't working too well, very dry screen. But yeah, the important bit is we've got some ignition lights. That feels a lot like life, and that's encouraging, because if I've got ignition, I can operate the starter under the bonnet. We might be able to actually make this thing make some noises. Part 2 of trying to see a spark. Not a sausage. Recording. Right, try again with both ignition wires connected up, if they are both ignition wires. Ooh. No, not getting spark. Bother. Right, third and final attempt. Having cleaned up the rotor arm a bit, can we get some spark?
What?
That wasn't a good connection.
Something smoked.
I just saw a spark come from that.
From this?
No, that.
Minus.
The minus on the...
This one.
Ah, we haven't got a good connection.
Spark and some smoke. Quite good.
Yeah, there we go. We lost our connection on that. That's what happened.
Oh, good God.
Good. No spark. So we'll come back another day and investigate that one. This is taking ages to film. Well, I think I'm going to end this one there. I'm running out of ideas. I cannot get a spark at the moment. Something is clearly amiss somewhere. I'm trying to hot wire, but I don't fully understand the wiring. We've got this multi-plug connector down on the bulkhead here, which could be why power isn't getting through. I did buy an ignition switch, but it's not for this car, it's for the other types of Yugos. I thought it would be the same. It isn't. It hasn't got two little white wires on it. So yeah, I'm still struggling to understand the wiring. It's just the wrong side of complicated. If I bring you in for a closer look, what makes this difficult is you look at the coil wiring. Here is the coil, and we've got all this going on. And as try as I might, I don't think I can replicate all this. I still haven't fully worked out which one's live. I mean, that one's orange. I haven't really encountered any other orange wires yet. Brown's possibly a feed from here. Oh, that's why the ignition switch wiring wasn't operating the starter. I disconnected it. That's something at least. And then I think this multi-plug connector here might be involved somehow as well. And it looks like there's a relay there. I need to do some more deciphering, and frankly, owe you a video, because it has been far too long. I'm just going to put you back in the tripod again. Yeah, I'm just going to end it there. This isn't going to be the will it start victorious celebration I had hoped. So I'm slightly saddened, but we've had the engine turning, so that is progress of sorts. feel like we're getting somewhere. It's just trying to decipher this wiring. It is entirely baffling, and I'm struggling to find diagrams online. This very useful service manual sent to me by a friend sadly doesn't contain anything on the ignition wiring, so that's that. But hopefully we can encourage her into life. It's just finding the time at the moment. So many other cars to work on. It's hard to treat this as the priority. But it's still getting more attention than the alt sit sat under this mattress here, which has done nothing at all. And we've had much more success with windscreen wipers. So there you go. Anyway, thanks for watching, and I look forward to seeing you in a future video. Farewell. Give it a full on woolard. Or maybe I should do this even. Is that too far? Yeah.